Hi, Paul.
Hello,
Um,
Beth.
I'm Beth Karn, and I'm here representing Strathaven Middle School. Thank you for participating in our career catalog.
Absolutely.
Let me just I'll hand it over to you, but I just want to introduce our audience to Paul Voshel. He's a professional musician, a private instructor, and a teacher. And he's going to be sharing with us his insights and experience. So let's start in the beginning, Paul. When did you get into music, and at what point did you start thinking about music as a vocation?
Well, music has always been a part of my childhood. From the earliest days, I remember just listening to music all the time around the house with my family. So it's always been a part of my life in some way, shape, or form. And I've always played all through high school and through college. And I would say my junior year in college, I just happened to meet five other guys from University of Delaware, and we got together and we started a band named Love See Mama Jump, and here it is 31 years later, and I am still fortunate enough to be playing in this band and living a dream.
That's awesome. I 30 years ago remember Love Seat Mama Jump down at the Jersey Shore.
We looked a little different.
We all did.
Yes.
So it sounds like you were starting on a traditional college path at University of Delaware. Can you elaborate on what your career trajectory from that college band experience to where you are and what you're doing now?
Absolutely, be happy to. At University of Delaware, I went in undeclared, like a lot of people, and became a criminal justice major, believe it or not. And and like I said, just happened to meet these group of guys, and we had some chemistry there. Started to have a lot of fun, and just started taking off with all the playing that we were doing. And I made a promise to myself and to my parents that no matter how busy I got with the band, I would finish college and get my degree, which is what happened. And we just took off with the touring, and we were busy. We were playing probably 4 or 5 nights a week when I was still in college. And went from there. I would say for the first 20 years of the band, that was my primary job. That's pretty much all that I did because it took up so much time. We were playing, like I said, 4 or 5 nights a week. And then after that, I started getting more private students, doing more teaching from the house, which I thoroughly enjoy. It just gives a little bit of a different avenues to still be involved with music. So I started that, and as our gigs with the band became less, I had a little bit more time during the week. So then I started working as a preschool teacher at Swarthmore Presbyterian Nursery Day School.
That's great.
Yeah,
It sounds really different. So
it's very different. Yeah.
I'm sure your parents were probably happy that you graduated from college, but quite something that you haven't had to go back to that poli-sci major for work.
Yeah, I've never used that major.
That's it, but still, you graduated from college, and I'm sure that enabled you to get your teaching job.
It did.
Yeah,
It did. That's
so
correct.
it had a benefit.
It did.
Yeah.
After all these years.
So really kind of very polar jobs there.
Yes.
Would you mind describing, for what a day in the life looks like, maybe on a weekday, and then maybe give that kind of juxtaposition to what a day in the life might look like on a Friday or Saturday night?
Sure, sure. So a typical weekday would be, I think, like a lot of other people's, getting up pretty early in the morning, um, helping get my kids off to school. They both go to Strathaven High School, and then leaving for my job at the preschool and working usually from 8:30 until 3 o'clock there, and then leaving there, coming back home and starting my private teaching, and usually about 3 hours a night, Monday through Thursday, with private teaching, and then move to a typical weekend, and so I would say Fridays, if I have to work that whole day, I come home, and depending on where the show would be for the band, I would leave. Most of the shows that we have now are usually within 2 to 3 hours of where I live here in Swarthmore. So it takes a lot of time. You have to prepare, leave yourself enough time on the road to get to these shows, and then you have to drive on the back end. So sometimes you're getting home at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I would say that's pretty much describes the weekdays and the weekends.
So pretty long hours, even on the weekdays when you're marrying your teaching position with the private instruction,
Yes.
and on your weekends are different, but still long, and that you're driving, setting up your equipment.
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate with that. I probably set my equipment up maybe for like 2 years when we first started, and we've been fortunate to have a crew with us with that. So that does save us some time there.
Okay, well, that probably comes with some time, experience, and consistent work, right? That you can have a crew.
It's true. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that's good, because I was thinking that would be yet another physical challenge of your
Thank
job.
goodness it's not.
Um, are there physical challenges to your job with teaching and or with the band?
Yeah, I mean, I think just with the band for sure, one of the toughest things is the driving. It has to be the driving. We have a joke within the six guys in the band when people ask us, what we charge to play a party for them or to play a club, and our answer is always, well, we'll play for free, but you're going to pay us to drive to get there and drive home. So that's what we've always said, and then that we look at that. The driving part is the work.
Mhm.
Once we arrive on site, it's time to play. It's
Yeah,
time to have a good time. Yeah.
yeah. So what's about the furthest you'll travel for a gig?
Well, we just booked two shows next year in Charlottesville, Virginia. So that's about a 4.5 hour hike, I think. But we used to go all over the place in the '90s, and as far mostly East Coast stuff, up to Maine and even down to Key West.
Oh, cool.
We played down there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that I guess like that's a nice segue into my next question, which is what do you love about your job? And is travel one of those things? Or was it? Was it
Okay.
one of those things?
So yeah, so that's a good question, and it's different now. When we first started, we were all very hungry and anxious to hit the road and to live that life, and we had a blast. We really did. We would pile into a van, and we would get to see different parts of the country that we hadn't seen, and going to these different shows and meeting a bunch of new people, and just experiencing different things. So that was great. We loved that back in the early days. Um, and with that, another thing is obviously I'm able to do my passion, something that I've always loved, to make a living. Um, and you're in a very cool environment where you're making other people happy. They're watching what you're doing. You have a direct effect on them, and you're making them happy. And most of these people that show up, they're in a setting now that they're looking forward to you entertaining them. So they're in a good mindset. It's not like they're arriving, maybe so to speak, at a 9 to 5 job where they've had a rough night before or whatever. They just have a different mindset and they're ready to have a good time with you. So, I those are the things I would say I really enjoy about it.
Yeah, I guess surrounding yourself with good positive energy is a
Absolutely,
nice pro to any job, but
no question
especially
about it.
with yours.
Yeah,
Um, so would you say that would you identify some of your personal character traits or work ethic or values that you feel you possess that make you particularly good, or the reason why maybe your vocation has thrived for as long as it has?
sure. So I've always taken my passion for playing drums very, very seriously. I always practiced a whole lot. I'll back up a bit, and my father is a drummer, and music has been his entire life. So he supported a family of four, playing out live, also teaching private students, and running a music store down in Delaware. So I've been around this for a long, long time, and he instilled in me, you have to work hard if you want to be successful with this. You have to work hard at it, and would say things to me along the lines of, would ask me how long I had practiced, and I said, well, I put some time in. I put an hour in today, and he would say, well, that's great, but also realize that there's a guy down the street that's probably putting 2 hours in for every hour that you're putting in. So it was kind of hard to figure that out at the time, but it makes complete sense when you think about it. So I would say, you have to have that dedication. And the other thing with the entertainment business or music is you have to be punctual. You have to be on time. And with live rock bands, you get a chance to see a lot of people that don't do that, and they don't last. They don't last. You're not, they're not operating on your schedule. You're operating on theirs. And,
Interesting. I didn't think of that. Yeah,
oh
that you
yeah,
have to be reliable.
oh yeah, you have to be there.
Mhm.
And when you're there, uh, you have to be social. You have to. It's not like a job, but you have to talk to people.
Yeah,
People want to know about what you do, and a lot of people find it very interesting.
yeah,
So you need to talk to people. You can't just play your set and then go hang out in the back room. You can, but you won't last as long.
mhm.
People want to know that you're like, an average person that's just, happened to stumble upon something that they like doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, the social angle, I hadn't thought of that either.
Big. It's big. It's like a networking thing. I mean, it's
Yep.
not like you're setting out to do it, but you have to be aware.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So as just a parting thought for the middle school students that are watching,
Mhm.
um, for any of them that are maybe toying around or have just started thinking about maybe career as a or music rather as a career path, what advice would you give?
Well, what I would say is, and I think I touched on it earlier, is you have to be confident. You have to be solid, really good at your craft. You have to know that. You have to walk around with confidence, like what you can do.
Mhm.
Um, but also take with that it's not always how good you are and what you know. a lot of it's who you know, and it's timing in this business is crucial. So those are the things that you really can't control, but you have to accept these when you go into a field like this. You know, control what you can and how good you are and how well you get along with everyone else that you're performing with or playing with. But also you have to accept that some things are just they're out of your control.
That's
And the
good.
other point I would say, if you're really interested in this, some of the downsides, uh, you're giving up a lot of time, like weekends, so to speak, where a lot of people that's their social time. Well, if you become somewhat successful, that's usually when people want to hire you to play, usually on weekends. So you have to make, there's sacrifices there.
That's a good thing to be aware of. But it
Yes,
does sound like your baseline advice here is work hard, to
yes.
strive at being the best that you can be. And I heard a lot of other things in there, like your ethics and punctuality and your ability. So being having ability to interact with other people well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very important. Yeah.
a lot of skills at work.
It is, but it just kind of when you've been doing this so long, you don't think about them as being skills. You just kind of move
Mhm.
forward with
Right.
them. Yeah.
Well, Paul, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
And
It was my pleasure.
thank you on behalf of the student body at Strathaven Middle School.
Absolutely. I was thrilled that I was asked to do this, and it was a lot of fun.